G'day, my name is Rob Jackson. I'm the AFL High Performance Manager for umpiring and have been since 2018, although still rolling with 2008 technology, so apologies for that. This video is to go over the off and pre-season programs of the season 2021-22. So things we'll cover: who is this program for? What are some off-season considerations? What's with this original recipe versus retro recipe stuff I'm seeing? And some program reminders. First things first, who is this program for? Well, it's for any AFL, AFLW, state or community level field umpire. And it is specifically for field umpires. There is a separate program available for boundary umpires and for goal umpires. The program is set to start the week of Monday, November 15th. It's got inbuilt flexibility, but there's no fixed day. So rather than saying, everyone has to run on Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday, it just says day 1 to 7, and you'll see the separation between them. So you've got flexibility to shift those days based on your lifestyle, your schedule. So for example, you might run Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday one week, and then the following Monday, Wednesday, Friday. It's completely up to you. The one thing we recommend is avoid consecutive days. So you don't want to run the program sessions 2 days in a row. So if we've got day 1, day 3, and day 5, don't make that Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, or Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, something like that. Try and have at least a day between those. You can choose to add longer, slower runs between if you want, excuse me, outside of what's on the program. But again, that's optional for you. And then as I've got noted there, those who compete deep into finals may start later than November 15th, and that would be something you would discuss with your relevant high performance manager. Some off-season considerations. I think this one is really important. That's the off-season is really important. And we often forget that bit. It's just, off-season. Okay, now I'll start working on getting fit to be ready for pre-season. Well, no, that's not how it works. Off-season means off. So it's a chance for you to rest, recover, regenerate, and reinvigorate, have some time away from umpiring so that you actually miss it and want to get back and stuck into it. I really can't emphasize enough, particularly for younger umpires who, this might be a generalization. Well, it is a generalization. I've tended to find are so keen and so want to get stuck into the physical. But what can actually end up happening is by the time the season rolls around or pre-season rolls around, they've kind of done 3 months of solid work already and they're almost burnt out. So please take time off. My recommendation at the end of your season is as follows: 2 weeks complete rest. Okay, just put the feet up, relax, eat whatever you want, do whatever you want, live like most of the population lives their whole life. Okay, actually just do nothing for a while. Now, if you're someone like me who you need to do some sort of movement every day, fine, go and do what you need to do, but don't make it tracked. Don't have a purpose in mind. You're not doing it to get fitter. It's just to keep the wheels in motion, all right? That might be anything. It might be just going for a walk or going for a bike ride or jumping in a kayak or something, but please don't think of it as this is for umpiring and to make me a better umpiring athlete. After that 2 weeks of complete rest, I generally recommend just 2 weeks of 2 to 3. It's up to you. Again, non-tracked. Don't wear a GPS. Don't put it on Strava. Don't measure your heart rate, etc. Just get out in the sun and enjoy those sorts of runs. All right, I'm going to go to the tan and just enjoy being out in the tan and running around there, or find a track, a bush track somewhere, and just go and run it. It's up to you how long you do. As I said, 2 to 3. Easy, right? Non-tracked, just enjoyment runs. And then after 2 weeks of that, you've then got 2 weeks of about 3 long steady state runs. Now, long is going to mean different things for different people. For some people, 10 minutes steady state run is a long run. And for others, that's going to need to be 30. You can modulate that yourself. So my next point is also really important, which is don't make your off-season an overly long pre-season. I sort of mentioned that in the first point. Okay, you may be itching to improve your physical conditioning. However, it's important to allow that recovery and mentally refresh, okay, because there is plenty of time to get the work done. And so you need to make sure you actually have some time to switch off from umpiring and come back looking forward to it rather than it sort of feeling like this 52 weeks of the year is just umpiring, performance, assessment, got to be fit. Everyone needs a break. And then, as I said before, I've seen too many athletes burnt out by the time the season actually starts. So if you're already starting to smash yourself, October 1st is when your holidays officially begin. If you're starting to smash yourself from October, you got October, November, December, January, February, really 5 months before State League and AFL starts. And AFLW is starting, Jan 6. There is plenty of time to prepare for AFLW in this program. What's with this original recipe versus retro recipe? Depending whether you're looking at a phone or computer, you'll see them sort of down here or to the side or something like that. So original recipe is probably going to suit most people. It's those who need to continue building aerobic base, those who need to run 3+ times per week for that tissue adaptation and resilience, particularly those who have had soleus strains in the past, will often find that they need to do a bit more frequent running rather than super long running. And also for those who prefer to run than do off-legs conditioning. If you love going for a run and you don't like riding a bike or swimming or whatever, then by all means, this is your program. As opposed to retro recipe program. This is, as it says here, probably more for, look, I don't want to stereotype and say for older, but if you've got a few more Ks on the chassis, you want to minimize some of that wear and tear. You've probably also got more of an established aerobic base from years and years of having done preseason programs, umpiring, etc. And you might also just want to do this one because you enjoy off legs for aerobic conditioning. For example, we've got within field umpires quite a lot who are into cycling, and they're really happy to switch out a middle, say, aerobic running session, replace it with a road bike session. And that way, not only are they not getting the wear and tear on their knees, ankles, hips, but they're still getting an activity they enjoy and getting that aerobic conditioning. So depending on which sort of scenario, most people will fit into original recipe, particularly, excuse me, apologies for this cough, particularly, say, state and younger umpires. And then within the AFL list, there's probably a few who will fit into that retro recipe. That's a general, I'm sure there is someone at state level who fits into retro recipe as well. Speak to your high performance manager and they'll be able to help figure that out. Mix and match. I know I'm going to get a question about this. Can I switch between? Look, for the majority of umpires, I'd say you're going to fit into one or the other, right? However, it is possible to use a week of retro as a form of deload or recovery. So let's say you're up to week 4 of the original recipe and you're just feeling a bit cooked, actually I'm a bit sore and a bit tired. Then maybe what you do is week 5, you switch to retro recipe. It drops out that longer, higher volume running session in the middle. You replace that with an off-legs conditioning. That allows you to get a bit of a deload, recover, and you bounce back the following week. But again, for most people, I reckon it's worth discussing with your designated high performance manager as to which one you'd fit into. Next little thing, so program reminders, and these are universal for really any sport activity when it comes to training as a whole. And that is, from little things, big things grow. The program is important, but that means all elements of the program are important. And one of the things that a few of the things that we find most common is that people don't do the full prescribed warm-up and they don't do it at intensity. And so what we'll see is, excuse me, they'll go out, they'll do 2 laps, they'll do a couple of the drills, and then it's sort of haphazard, and then they roll into the session. I cannot recommend highly enough the idea of really taking note of those warm-ups, doing them as prescribed and with intensity. They include drills which are not only to warm up, but improve your coordination, improve your running technique, actually expose you to some speed profile, exposure to acceleration as well. So they're more than just warming the body up. We probably shouldn't call them warm, we should call them physical prep. Okay, so please make sure you do those. Typo there, should be completing the various change of direction sequences as well. We know that field umpiring isn't a linear activity. And there are moments where you're backwards, left to right, angles. And so by building in that change of direction, it's not just the skill component, it's exposing your joints, muscles, ligaments, tendons, etc., to that force profile and getting adaptation so that you're ready to do that when required, whether it's in club visits, AFLW, state games, preseason, what do you call them, AAMI, JLT, Wizard Cup, or the AFL season. And then the big one, which I found last year, was completing the prescribed body armor series. And so these are all body weight. There's nothing that requires you to have a bunch of equipment that you wouldn't already have access to at home. Might be a chair. Okay, so these are really important at addressing the issues we find most common in field umpires, that being soleus strain, so a calf muscle strain, and we have very few, but nonetheless a hamstring strain. And so this series of strengthening exercises are to build tissue resilience, or what Graham Morris would call robustness. Right? We want to build robust athletes who are able to handle these sorts of workloads. So if you look at those three things, completing a full warm-up at intensity, making sure you don't skip the change of direction sequences, and at the end of your sessions, still doing that body armor series, that's really going to put you in a great position to not only be able to perform, but perform for the length of the season. That's where it's really important. Next tip is get it done early. For most people, again, there's always going to be an outlier, but for most people, getting the program done early in the day works best. As we get closer to summer, and hopefully it does get hot, but gets hotter and hotter, it means the middle of the day is generally not the best time to be trying to train. And so when we push it back to the evening, it's more likely that someone's going to want to take that time from you, and you'll either have a schedule interference or distraction. So my recommendation is generally get up early in the morning, get all your training done. You've got the rest of the day to enjoy or get on with your normal life. Again, there's always going to be an outlier, might not suit everyone, but that's a general recommendation. This next one I think is really important, which is the idea of listen to your body and don't be a slave to the program schedule. Again, there's no way that one plan that we pull together can account for the huge individual, I can never say it, individual variance in people. Okay, there are different age, sex, race, training history, prior injuries. All of these things are going to impact on someone's ability to perform, recover, and adapt. So there's no way that this one plan can be perfect for everyone. It's a good, solid template which gets you all to being able to perform. But what that does mean is if you're working flat out, you got life stresses on the side, and you get to the day that you are going to train, let's say it's Monday, and you're just not feeling it, well, listen to your body. You're getting a signal saying it's not right. Push it back one day. There's flexibility in the program, so use that flexibility. The example I've got here is if you've got really tight, sore muscles or stiff hips and a back, maybe you've had to fly somewhere for a meeting, or you're stuck in a Zoom for 3 hours listening to me discuss programs, then shift the session back a day. And instead of doing nothing, because that's not generally the answer, maybe go for a walk, do some active mobility, get some physio, some sort of, I don't want to call it recovery, just active work to help address those issues. Maybe it's get to bed earlier that night as well. Okay, generally the things you do for yourself are better than when things are done to you. So when you do some walking, some stretching, some mobility, I find that tends to work better than passively laying there and have a massage or getting physio. Last little bit is there is plenty of time. All right, so for those who are planning and hoping to compete in AFLW, again, starting January the 6th, there's heaps of time. The program is set up to lead you in and have you ready to perform at that level come round one. For those looking to do club visits, so AFL club visits might start late November, early December. The program aligns with that. You'll be capable, they're hardly going to be doing full ground drills given they'll have only been back for a week or two themselves. You'll be capable of rolling into club visits, and the program aligns with their schedule. Finally, if you have any sort of case-specific questions, so you've got specific questions about yourself, please reach out to your respective high performance manager and they'll be able to help you answer those questions. Hopefully this gives you a really good overview of the program, and any further questions, again, direct to your high performance manager. Thanks for your time.